Okay, so we are on page 14-08 and we are putting the nuts and bolts in. So I laid out the nuts and bolts, right? And all of my bags are pretty much empty except for the 5As, which I have two that probably go to something else that I haven't gotten to yet. And then I did notice the little nuts that are the MS21042-3s. There's two different bags. They're in two different bags. So some came with the empennage kit and some came with the wing kit. And I think I used some from one of the kits and not from the other kit, or the right kit, or whatever. So just FYI, they're in multiple locations. I forget what bags they were in, but they are in multiple locations. So just be aware of that. They're two different places. So I have them kind of laid out where they go along the spar. I've already done a couple of them. If you'll see, kind of right in there. We'll come. Get right in there to see that one. Howdy everybody, welcome to wing video number 23. We're actually attaching the wing ribs to the spar in this video, to the right wing ribs to the right spar, that is, and bolting them on and then riveting them on in this video. And as you can see, the ribs themselves are done, so the flap brackets are attached to them. All of the grommets and everything are in there, so they're all ready, and this is the last part of attaching them to the actual spar. Okay, so I made a mistake. There is a specific order. All of the ones, this is the first one where the nut goes down up through that way. These are all wrong. They're all in backwards, so I need to reverse them. So I'll do that. So I did make a mistake. I put those in incorrectly. And here's a little picture, and I'll keep this up for a little while, that shows the bolt and which way it's supposed to go in based on whether it's on the top or the bottom of the spar itself. So when I'd put them in originally, I'd only like finger tightened them. I didn't actually crank down on them and actually do the whatchamacallit, when you torque them. I didn't torque any of them. I just kind of put them on. So to reverse them, I just unscrewed them real quick and then flipped them over and put them back in, and that seemed to work. But there are specific callouts for different sizes put in different ways. So from the forward part to the aft part, or from the aft part to the forward part. So pay attention to that when you're doing it. And pay attention to which one is up and which one is down, because those are different. Shocking, I know. But in the diagram, you're like, oh, okay, it looks this way. And then you're like, hey, wait, I have it upside down. And that happens. And so you just have to kind of pay attention to that. So I will tell you a couple of jokes while I am ratcheting down the bolts in those ribs. So the other day I bought a thesaurus, but when I got home and opened it, all the pages were blank. I have no word to describe how mad I was. My daughter liked that. So it's almost Christmas time. It's coming up on Christmas time. This video should be out here probably beginning of December. So here's a Christmas joke for you. What is the best present? You know, broken drums. You can't beat them. Oh, my daughter said that one was so stupid. Oh, it was pretty bad, I will admit. So I love wonderful dad jokes. So you can see here, I'm using a torque wrench. It's a inch-pound torque wrench to torque all of those bolts down, which I did. And now I am setting the rivets for the ribs on the spar. And that little bucking bar, the tungsten bucking bar, I'm telling you what, I have used that thing. 98% of the rivets that have been bucked have been bucked using that bucking bar. So I highly recommend it. I'll put a picture of it up here for you. I think it's the one that comes in the standard kit from like Cleveland Aircraft Tool or somewhere. I forget where it comes from, but it's fantastic. The only other bucking bar that I think I've said this before in other videos, is the BB12 bucking bar that I got from Midwest Tungsten. It's fantastic as well for those little hard to reach places. 98% of your work is going to be done with that bucking bar though. So just continuing on, bucking all of the rivets on the ribs there, putting them in. That's pretty easy. It's not a real big deal. It's kind of shaded there, so you really can't see the rivets. But those rivets turned out really pretty looking. It always seems to me that the bigger rivets where you have nothing kind of in your way to stop you from bucking them, they seem to turn out always great. It's the oddball rivets that are stuck in a corner that you can't really reach. They have to like contort your body to get into to actually buck them. Those don't always end up the greatest. So, take that for what it's worth. So these did look pretty good, if I do say so myself. And then, so you basically in this section, it's the 14, no, it's 13. I forget which section it is, but in that section, when you're working on the ribs, the things that you have to do is you have to bolt on the ribs, you have to rivet the ribs on, and then you have to rivet the first rivet on the flange of the spar, which kind of locks in that tab that's on the rib itself. And you don't do both of them because one of them will get riveted on with the skin, but the one closest to the forward edge of the spar, that one can get riveted in. You could squeeze it, basically is what I'm doing here. You could squeeze that very front one because the tank itself will fit over that particular rivet when you screw the tank on. But you do not rivet the aftmost rivet on those ribs until you get to actually putting the skins on. So don't accidentally, put that one in there. And then here you can kind of see me looking at those bolts, and you'll get an explanation for what I did, because the very top rivets, and it does say in the instructions, and I was stupid and didn't do it. I was like, wow, that doesn't make any sense. Let me just do it my way. By the way, my way is usually wrong. The instructions are usually right. But you have to, you'll see me turn it over, and then you'll see me pull out a couple of those bolts so I can squeeze a couple of those rivets, and then I put the bolt back in. And you'll get an explanation from me here in a little bit in this video that kind of shows you what happened and how that all worked. But, that's how it happens. It's a learning experience. You think you know what you're doing, and then you figure out you don't, and then you start over. Okay. So the instructions say, let me go back here, because it was kind of confusing and I made a mistake. I think I made the same mistake on that wing, but it's not a difficult thing to fix. But the instructions say, except on the three most inboard wing ribs, install nuts and washers as called out on page 1408, figure 1, torque the nuts per the values given. So this is the inboard, outboard,
the three most wing ribs, 1, 2, 3, right? That is not what they mean. This is a 10, what's the number on it? The 1010, the W1010. What they mean is the W1011s, the three most inboard three W10-11. So this one, and this one. Those are the wing ribs they're talking about not putting the bolts in. And the reason why is because these guys right here need to get squished. Can you see those guys? But with that bolt in there, your squeezer doesn't have enough room. Now the interesting thing is on the other side, the only two that stick out far enough to get in the way are these two. This third one is okay because it's just the head which doesn't stick out enough to get in the way of this guy. So it's these two on the bottom of the spar, these three on the top of the spar. So you have enough room to get those rivets squished in there. So instructions are a little bit ambiguous, but once you see what's there, it's pretty easy to fix. It's not a big deal. You unscrew one of the bolts and you're good to go. So there you go. So I'm gonna squeeze those guys now.
And once you get them, you know, the squeezer on those guys and you get them smushed, you put the bolts right back in and, you know, torque them down and you're good to go. It's just the order of which you do things. And you look at the instructions and you're like, huh, well, why wouldn't I put those bolts in and, you know, just get them done like I did all of the other ones? Well, here's the reason why. Just so you know, there is a purpose behind kind of the instructions that they have. As always, this video is coming to a close, so like and subscribe if you could, please. Make sure you share it with your friends. And if there's anything that you see, any mistakes I make, or anything you want to see, please leave a comment. Talk to you later. Bye.